Chris and Dan show. How's it going? We got Tomer Alpert. He is the CEO and founder at Felt LLC, which is an app for people who want to send handwritten greeting cards. Very good idea. And previously is the co-founder of Sister Technologies, which is a SaaS, so software as a service for automatically creating videos from technical specs, pictures, and full motion on used and new vehicles. Specialties are connecting ideas together, listening to the interest of a customer and team member, and then leading them by connecting ideas to interests. Thanks so much for coming on, Tomer. How are you doing?
I'm good. I love y'all's show. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you, thank you. And you're based out of Colorado, right?
Used to be in Colorado, now recently in Dallas, Texas.
Oh, Dallas. Okay, you made the move recently.
Yeah, a couple years ago,
So
but
Felt
definitely part.
Felt is the startup, the current company you're running. Is that Dallas based or is that a remotely based for people?
Remotely. Yeah, we've been remote ever since we started. We started the business in Telluride, Colorado, about 10 years ago. And so we've been remote for the whole time of the company, which is great. There's the good and the good and the challenging.
Yeah. What made you? Because when I read the idea for Felt, I mean, sounds like such a good idea. Like somebody should have done this already. What kind of gave you that inspiration to do this?
Yeah, I've always been in love with handwritten letters. Um, all during my upbringing, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed writing. Back in my day, we passed notes in school, and I loved that. I loved writing. My siblings little lengthy birthday cards. Just telling them how much they mean to me. And I found a sense of flow, a sense of serenity while doing that. And then in my adult life, we moved to Telluride. We didn't know anybody, and we wanted to send a thank you card. And I was like, "There's got to be an app for this," and there weren't. I went to the app store. They only let you type, and at that point, I was like, "Well, this is definitely not going to work for me. I need to be able to handwrite my letter." And so I downloaded an art app, hand wrote on the screen of my iPad, went to my friend's house, asked him if I could print it on a laser printer to see how it printed. We bumped up the DPI as high as we could get it, and we printed it. And I was like, "This is great. This is awesome. How come nobody's letting us send handwritten letters that we use our iPads to make, but put them in the mail for us, and then put them in somebody's hand?"
Wow.
And yeah, and I had been contemplating many different business ideas 5 years prior. For the whole time, I even started a little found startup brainstorming group where we just get together and think about ideas and try to find one that stuck because I really wanted to start a business. And so when this one came along, I was like, wow, greeting cards aren't my thing. I never did greeting cards growing up as a kid, but I did handwritten letters.
Hmm.
And so yeah, I was really excited to get started with it, and I immediately, you know, set off to build the app and build the team, and yeah, the rest is a 10-year-old saga.
So honest to God, true story. Um, we took our dog to the vet 2 weeks ago, and about 3 days ago, give or take a day or two, we got a letter from the vet. It appeared to be handwritten. My wife opened it, and she was very impressed by the letter and everything. And I said, "No, that's not a handwritten letter. That is somebody used an app to create that. There's no way that they're writing handwritten letters to all their patients, right? Well, the owners of their patients, right? The dog's patient masters. So she disagreed with me. To this day, she still doesn't believe that that was not a handwritten
Maybe
letter.
they did
So
handwrite it.
no, they didn't. They didn't.
They used
So
Felt.
absolutely, it means more to people to use a product such as yours, Felt. It appears genuine. It appears they put time into it, and it tricks people too. My wife still doesn't believe me when I'm telling her, no, that's not handwritten. Nobody took time and hand wrote that out.
It could be. You know, there's a lot of apps, businesses behind them that will
This
have a
this
robot.
this vet is
One of the
way too busy not to use an app.
Yeah, yeah, and typically what they'll do is like more of like a mail merge, right? Take the customer's first name and have a template, and then they have like an algorithm that will make every letter look unique, so you can't really see the typeface in it. But in our case, you know, this is like a letter I wrote with my son. You know, this is actually written on my screen with my finger, right? So with felt, I'll show you. We actually replace your piece of paper with your screen, and that's all we do. We don't add any of that mail merge type technology or or kind of trickery. And so if you look here, here's the app, and so I have handwrite as an option, and then you'll see that I'm given the card and I'm given a couple pen options, and I can literally sit here and handwrite on my screen. You can use a stylus, you can use your finger, you can zoom in really big and make it easier. And then that gets printed on the paper.
Sure. So in our vet's case, you would write a template, right? And there was nothing specific to our dog other than the dog's name. So you have software that replaces the name for each animal,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. That everybody gets that letter, right?
Yeah.
That appears genuine. You know, we Vader, our dog's name's Vader. Vader's a great dog. We are happy to see him. Hopefully things are going well. Please let us know if you have any further concerns, that kind of thing, right? And you just send that out to everybody, and it appears genuine and it tricks people.
Yeah. And to your point, the handwritten letter still feels so much more impactful and
That's
personal
yes,
than an
yeah,
email follow up. Yeah. And in our case, we've really wanted to embrace the authenticity, right? And much more so the experience, right? What you get as a human from the time you take, right? And you're taking time to tell somebody else how important they are to you.
yep,
And that's the time honored headspace, really, right? That we feel the connection, right?
yeah,
And
absolutely. And
yeah, in a world where we feel so disconnected, yet so digitally, hyperlinked to each other.
and,
Yeah,
and
this
it,
is really important.
it equates to when you're having a conversation with somebody and the whole time you're talking they're texting somebody else, right? You just don't have their attention. They don't seem to care about what your thoughts are or if you're important to them, right? It's the same thing, a handwritten letter to a template, obvious template that's typed, right? um it just seems like it's more personable, right? If people are looking you in the eyes, same thing with a handwritten letter. It just seems more personable.
Yeah, a handwritten letter that was actually taken the time to
Mm-hmm.
handwrite.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. People are
The
listening to you, paying attention to you.
Yeah, because the real currency here is time, right? How much
Yeah,
time are you giving me? Because all we have is time.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What your
If you're
vet's trying to
shortchanging,
do, what your vet's trying to do is scale the unscalable. How did you feel about that, Chris, when you realized it was like
Well,
automated? Do you feel worse, better, neutral?
I didn't even look at it really to speak of. I just knew there's no way
Yeah.
it's not a template. It's
Yeah.
not something that's
You also
manufactured.
get those on your letters now. It's a tactic to get you to open it. It looks like someone handwrote your
Yep,
address.
yep,
But I think what Tomer's building or built is just the media itself it's still authentic because it's personalized.
yep,
It just makes it easier in a digital world to send that letter without actually, I'm guessing, going to the mailbox and getting an envelope and all that stuff. But you are writing it still, which is like you said, time is the currency here. It's not
yep.
really the card. And the fact that it's unique enough to where whoever gets it is probably like, wow, this dude's pretty
yeah.
cool, you know?
Well,
The
I knew we were not going to send the thank you card that we needed to send because we didn't have stamps, we didn't have letters, we didn't have because we stopped living in that world, right? We
Mm,
back then we began the transition to a digitally connected world. And so, I don't have stamps right now in my house, no stamps. So even if I wanted to, do the act, I am ill equipped, right, with all the mailing utensils. So what we found was, we wanted to keep this, again, this headspace alive, right? We wanted to keep the ability to sit down and write a letter, but when that intention is there, but the tools aren't, it's like the best intentions go unmet. But if you give people the tools, right? And so, okay, we're taking some time away because you don't have stamps. Taking some time away because you don't have to go to the mailbox. Taking some time away because you get to use your iPad and you get to do all these things. But what we're left with is, I think, still the essence, which is thoughtfulness, right? I'm still sitting down, putting pen to paper, and while I could do it in a text, the recipient on their phone who gets a text, a minute later gets a notification, and a second later is on Instagram and TikTok and scrolling and inundated. So putting it in their hand still has meaning, right? In our world, I get to actually hold this piece of paper. My kiddo gets to have this forever. And it lives outside of our digital device. So I still think
important part.
I think it's important. I think printing and mailing something is important, and I think being able to sit down and pay attention to somebody is important. To Chris's point, right? And you can do both those with felt, and we take care of the printing and mailing for you, which I think is okay in the essence of authenticity, because it's still you and it's still your deep intention that comes across still in that physical, tangible card you get to hold and keep.
Yeah. And
letters.
It's also supply and demand. I mean, how many emails do you get? How many texts do you get a day? I mean, half the time I put my phone on do not disturb because I don't really want to get a text every 5 seconds or every minute. I just need some time to just focus, right? Especially when you have like borderline ADHD, the last thing you want is a distraction. But how many letters do I get in the mail? Like when I go to the mail, it's just bills. Sometimes it's checks. If I'm lucky, it's more checks than bills, but usually it's not. Junk mail, okay? Like rarely something from a friend if they're getting married, if there's like a quinceañera, like it's so rare. So the attention arbitrage is back in the mailbox if you actually do it right, and the thoughtfulness. This is like a double whammy because you get and like if you're a marketer too, this might be good like for your business. Like if you're a small business owner that had like let's say a realtor or someone where you can still scale like a thoughtful letter to everyone and not do what Chris's vet did and just like use a template. It's to me it would be a productivity tool in that case as well for like a small business.
I think it takes. I think it should take. This is a personal, just arbitrary time amount, but I think it should take 15 to 20 minutes. And if you do that once a week, 15 to 20 minutes, which is a ton of time. If you do that once a week, it's scaling the unscalable, right? And what I mean by that is it's repetition, right? Like it's not about doing 50 a week, right? It's about doing one a week that has a tremendous impact. It's a ripple in a pond, as opposed to, I don't know, a tidal wave or something that kills everything in the pond.
That's a good point. So let's say you're a realtor and you have like 100 clients, like your base is 100 clients. There's 52 weeks in a year, so you would have to do 2 of these a week to hit all your clients once a year. But like to your point, 10, 15, 20 minutes. How did you come up with that 15-minute, like to write the letter and everything?
The average amount of time somebody spends in our app is about 15 minutes
15
per
minutes.
session.
So they're actually thinking like what I'm going to do, how it's going to look, what font I'm going to use. That whole thing is 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes.
Our average session time is 15, 20 minutes. And this is okay, there's two sides to this coin. One side is the impact you're going to have on the other person, right? You could look at that from a personal relationship standpoint. They're going to know how important they are to me. You can look at it from a professional standpoint. They're going to know how important they are to me, right? In my pocketbook. But look at it from your point of view. How good does it feel when you're in the headspace of being thoughtful. There is a flow that comes over you, right?
Chris,
Because
we
the
got to
most
write our
important
clients
thing,
a letter every week. We have
look,
about 8 clients.
the only thing that's real, like my friend David says, are relationships. Everything else comes and goes and changes and isn't eternal. But our relationships to one another, feel like sometimes they can come from a whole other spiritual realm, right? You can feel soulmates, for example, right? Relationships are truly real.
What do you think about this,
Energetically.
Chris?
Well, I mean, yeah, he's not stating anything that's not true.
Would you send our clients a handwritten letter 2 a week till we hit all 100 in a year?
I'd rather farm that out.
What do you think about that, Tomer? As hearing that as a
let me
founder,
let me
let's unpack this.
let me restate the question. Let me restate the question, the challenge, whatever you want to call it. Would you sit down for 15 minutes a week and think about your client base and see if anybody comes to mind who actually would need to hear from you?
Oh,
and
yeah.
if somebody does, then you take
yeah.
action. But if not,
oh yeah, often, every week for sure. The problem is I'm just not. I don't know if I would hit the right notes. I don't know if that makes sense or not. In a letter that seems to have some. I don't know if I'm phrasing this correctly. My letter to a client would be more robotic, opposed to hitting on the genuine soft notes that you'd probably be looking for. I'd like to farm this out to Dan's wife.
But she doesn't know them.
No, of course not. But at the
Has to
same
be
time, though,
personal.
sure. But I think your wife would be more apt to hit those notes, or somebody else other than I.
But see, what
Put it
Tomer's
somebody's
going
else.
for is like you talk to your clients every week, so you kind of know things that other people don't know. You already have a unique relationship. So this is just letting them know, another way to let them know that, hey, you know what we have is special, and I'm aware of it, and
Yeah,
right?
I'm just not that type of person. That's the problem.
and I want to restate my question again, because here's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling that we don't want to break the actual specialness of the whole thing by making it, something you're doing every week, right? Part of the magic here is you do it when you feel called to do it, right? It's an innate desire. If you mechanicalize it, then you're back to your dentist or your vet's use case, and then the letter doesn't mean anything, or it means very little. So instead of actually doing it once a week, what I do is I just make time to see if anything comes up. Because here's the thing I think we should all take a hard look at. In our digital world, right, where we can get entertainment and distractions without doing anything, right? If we're not intentional, then we are robots. So the real thing here is to be intentional, right? So it's about making time and then investigating, is there anybody did I have any interactions that feel like they actually want to come up and out of me? If yes, great, you got felt, take action. If no, great, go do your thing, right? But the intentionality to actually give it an opportunity, right? Give it space to come up and out of you, to then be needing to make a really authentic, long-lasting impact on somebody. But if we don't, it goes back to mindfulness. If we aren't mindful about our relationships, then our mind will be taken over by all the distractions and entertainment coming at us. So it's not about doing a card a week. It's about making the space and being open to seeing if anybody in your sphere needs to hear from you. Right. And if you come at it like that, I guarantee you, it might be an old friend. It might be a sibling. It might be somebody who you're not even thinking it would be, and that's the magic. That's the magic.
And your pricing is super. I mean, I'm on the website now, and we'll have the website underneath the video for you guys to check out. I mean, single panel, 450. Send a single card with a greeting or a photo. I'm assuming that's not the involve the shipping, right? That's separate.
It's
Um,
everything. 450 includes printing, mailing, the whole nine yards.
Holy crap, man. I mean, I was going to the website expecting like 15 bucks, and that's even worth it. Like I was thinking to write my mom a letter. She's like the only one that still writes me letters, other than like if people are getting married or random parties. So my mom likes that. She's from that generation. So I was thinking, try this out on her, and I was on the website to look at prices, and if that includes everything, man, like a no-brainer.
Yeah,
No-brainer.
yeah. And
$450.
we price it there because we want people to do this.
Even
You know,
Chris, that's a number even Chris gotta like.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah. He can't say no. He's gonna carve out the time.
I pay more than that in a stamp and a drive to the post office.
Of the irritation to wait in line at the post office. Well, I guess you can just throw it in the box too, but finding the stamp, getting the envelope. I mean, who has time for that? The time should be
And
put
then
into the letter.
the time should be put into the letter, and you should do it without thinking about the price.
Hmm.
That was actually our theory is we don't want you to be like, no, I'm not going to do it because it cost me 15 bucks. Don't think
It
about
would
the
still work
price.
though. I
Have
think it
it
would
be a
still
lot
work.
more.
No, I
When
agree.
we want
That's
to
a very
actually,
reasonable price.
so these guys here are $4.50. So you get front and back, cool size, photo greeting,
You
whatever you
can put
want.
a
And now we're
picture on
building.
it. Wow.
Yep, pull a picture off your phone. Now we're building, more traditional size cards and letters. So you'll actually, my dream is to actually be able to do a classic 8 by 11 folded letter.
Dude, you
That's
single-handedly are gonna bring the USPS back in business.
good.
So,
Yep.
your 450 current 450 uh, version looks kind of like a postcard, right? I mean, it's similar to a postcard. And then you're going to
Yes.
expand to where it's an actual letter, where it's in an envelope,
We're on the website
trifold.
now. Single panel, 2 panels, 3 panels, and a 4 panel for a unique foldable story. I mean,
Yep. And
unbelievable.
they all come stamped in an envelope.
Oh, they do.
And
Okay.
premium paper. It's
This
it's a very nice product. Yeah. So it's more than a postcard. And like we're looking here, this 4 panel card, it's four of these connected. So they're 16 inches long. And you can tell, we've had people do marriage proposals using felt cards,
and that's
telling
only
this
725.
That that honestly that doesn't seem too appropriate to me to do a marriage proposal that way, but it certainly would make sense for a wedding invite.
$7.25.
yeah, wedding invite.
Imagine to get a wife. I
I
mean,
don't know. I don't know. Marriage proposal through the mail. I don't know about that one, but
It was part of a much larger proposal,
unless it's like I'm
arrangement.
seeking a Russian bride kind of thing.
Comer, these prices are
He,
unbelievable, man. Like,
did you
I'm
see the
blown away.
subscription yet? Look at the subscription. The subscription will take it even up another notch for you.
Download and subscribe. Starting at $5 a month, 3 free cards a month. All card sizes included. Received credits for unused month. Wow, you're
So
insane, man. $5
yeah,
bucks.
yeah,
So you
50
can
cents
just
more for 3 times the product.
Yeah,
yeah.
we have thousands of people on subscription, and they're using Felt on a monthly basis, and they're putting thoughtful, meaningful hands
Then it
in.
forces you to write a card. I mean, we gotta get 3 people worth sending a card to every month. I think it becomes the new problem. I'll send
Yeah.
one to Chris every month, and then who else?
Yeah, you could use it on somebody else, Dan. I talked to you enough.
Write a love letter to Chris.
Yeah, no.
No, this is cool, man. I think in this world, is there anyone doing it something similar? I mean, not to pump your competitor, but you
No,
have
that's fine. Yeah, no, there's other companies approaching it in different ways. We're the only company that's letting you classic handwritten card in the mail.
wow.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
actually
everybody else either has like a robot doing it or somebody else doing it for you. We're the only ones, just replacing the need to have paper and stamps with the digital device you already have. The handwriting is still yours. Printing and mailing is us.
Might send this their clients. Like just pick 3 random clients a month. Boom. Either you or I find 5 sentences to write each and send it.
so honestly, I wasn't really too enthused about this conversation, but this product's pretty cool. I mean, and
See? Dumber, you've converted another one.
especially the price points. Yeah. I don't see where your profits are, but hey, man, that's on you.
Is there
Yeah, we'll
profits?
worry. Is there profits? I mean, it feels really good to run this business. So there's
Yeah.
emotional profits.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a meaningful job.
Do you,
Yeah, we do get to see thousands of really great things happening all the time. So, and
that's
we also have a couple other cool features that we've built on top of this. So we have a thing called the felt bomb. So we had this kid who has a rare form of cancer, and they came and started a felt bomb for him on felt, and we had over 120 cards get mailed on one day. So we got all these cards on one single day. So we kind of organized people to come in and all make their own card. Then we hold them onto and mail them all together for people. So that's a lot of good
that's
good vibe
cool.
to be a part of. Yeah. So we're trying again. We have kind of this really big vision for Felt where relationships are the only thing that matter. And in our world, they're going to become more and more and more and more disparaged. And there has to be a lot of us advocating and reminding ourselves that we need to take time for them.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is in your business model, but I could see throwing one of those donation, like charitable donations behind this as
GoFundMe or
well.
something?
Yeah,
Like a
something like
GoFundMe.
that, right? So where in the card they would also say, no, I just donated $20 to your cause, whatever that is, um, etc. Right? But you'd have to have
Yeah.
that product as well involved. It would
That
just
is a
make
good
Yeah.
sense.
idea.
Yeah, totally.
It's
I
more
think that would be
personable.
really cool. Makes sense. Totally. And people want to do both. They want you to know how much they love you and care, and they
Yep,
want to give you money. Because
exactly.
money does real things, and
Exactly.
yeah,
So,
love and connection
yep,
does
you
stuff.
combine the two products.
I think that's
And
super cool.
can you give us any insight into like how many users you guys have a month or
We
subscribers?
have
I
a
mean,
lot.
yeah.
We have a lot. I mean, we're not, yeah, not everybody knows about us, but a lot of people do use us. I could say it's under 10 million, but a lot more than 100,000. So a lot of people know about us. We're one of the top greeting card apps in the App Store. We were on Shark Tank in 2016.
Really?
Wow.
We were the
Nice.
season finale. Yep. So we picked up a lot of customers through the show.
Were you on the
And a lot
show?
of people discover through word of mouth. I was, yeah,
Who
yeah,
who did
I,
not invest in you? Or I guess did
yeah.
anyone or
We on air we did a deal with Mr. Wonderful. Yeah,
ah,
so if you go
Mr.
back and watch the episode,
He's like
yeah,
Chris. He would want to send cards to people.
he does. Yeah, he doesn't want to, but he sees a lot of people that do want to. So
Yeah,
he's got a business acumen behind him.
that's cool. So I
So
could
yeah,
probably
he was
find that
great to work
episode.
with on the show. It was really fun.
I could
Yeah,
probably look
yeah,
in the
you can
archives
find
and
it.
find you on there.
Yep, yeah, you can look for So I want to give the audience a fun insight into Shark Tank. So I tried to get on the show 2 years in a row. And as we had this idea for Felt, I thought it was the coolest product ever. I was like, man, they just got to know about the product. So two application videos of me just being like, oh, we built this thing. It's super cool. Here's how it works. And didn't get on the show. Didn't make it past the first round interviews. And then our third year, we were out of money. And we were on credit card fumes. And we were doing, a couple $1,000 a month in revenue. Like just unsuccessful by most accounts. And what was keeping us going was people were using it. People were writing really, really, really important letters to each other. We had one person reach out to their mom. They haven't talked in 10 years. She sent her a felt card as like the icebreaker. So we were motivated by things that we're seeing people actually use it for that were really impactful in their lives. And so, but we were out of money. And I remember sitting there on the couch, and our employees were going to go have to look for new jobs at that, like the day before. I think I had to tell them, and so I had this moment of kind of freedom in a weird way, but the company was going, and I was basically free. And I just sat there. I was like, I know what we have to get on Shark Tank, right? Like that is the thing that we have to do. And then I had this idea just flow through me, and it was basically TV is one of two things: drama or humor. Well, I got to pick one, and I got to make an application video that gives the producers one of those two things so that they can put it on TV so people will consume it. So I had long hair back then, and I had this idea of me in a bride's dress with my long hair, and I have a hairy chest, and I was like, I'll tell the story of how much brides need felt, because they're going on their honeymoon and they're carrying boxes of thank you cards, and they're, this whole kind of this idea. So I made the video, submitted it, and we zipped through the process and got invited to air. And then they came out and shot our backstory in Telluride, and we aired the season finale, and it was bonkers, and it 10x our revenue. It put us at the top of the App Store. Yep. The next year, Apple featured us because they came out with Pencil, their stylus, and we were a great partner app for them to show the community what developers are doing with that technology. And ever since then, we've had, the revenue we've needed to grow the business and continue to evolve the product, build features like Felt Bomb. You can also do a group card in Felt, so you can start a card, invite your friends to join it, and add their own handwritten letter to the card, add photos to the card, and have one card with everybody's input on it. So you can do a lot of cool things in Felt, and our vision, is still 10 years down the road. We still see so much room for this general space of making each other feel important, because we don't really have a great way of doing that. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, great story. I like the Shark Tank story, especially the wedding dress part of that, which brings a question to mind. So your wife's wedding dress, where'd you get the wedding dress?
So we got the wedding dress. I had the same thought. I was like, where the hell am I going to get a wedding dress? And not just any wedding dress. I didn't want to be in a beautiful gown. I wanted to be in kind of a gaudy 1980s, like it's got to be the right dress, right? And so I called the owner of our local thrift store.
So you wanted the dress to look like it's a rushed wedding in Las Vegas.
In the 80s.
In the 80s. So kind of
in the 80s.
So lack of a better term, kind of slutty dress, I guess.
Oh, well, a little bit. Let's just call it budgeted. I wanted it to be a budget dress. Yeah, a budget dress that really hit the note, and because I had this whole vision and how to do it. So I called the owner of our thrift store. She was driving through even a smaller town. So Telluride has 2,000 people. This other town she was driving through had maybe 500 people. And I told her, I was like, I need this wedding. She said, well, I don't have one. There's a consignment store here that I know the owner of. I'll stop in. She calls me back 15 minutes later. She's like, I think I have the dress. And I just knew it was, you get into those moments in life, you just know, like, it's supposed to happen. She had this dress. It was gaudy, perfect. It fit me somehow.
So do the nylons have holes in them?
No nylons, but then I went to this other store. I was like, where am I going to find high heels that fit my foot? You don't think about these things.
You got to go all accessorized now.
Yeah.
Well, I had this vision of walking out, on the show, and I had the script lined up, and I was like, this sucks, having to carry boxes to the station on my wedding. This sucks more than these high heel stilettos. And I was going to lift up my dress a little bit and show these high heels I was in too. Yeah.
Sexy.
Really
hit Chris ideas for the next SOS conference.
With them hairy legs. Yeah, I love it.
So yeah, I had to go look for 10.5 men's stilettos, and I found them. And then
Yeah, I wear
I got a
15s.
call.
Wouldn't work for me, Dan. I don't think they make 15 stilettos.
Ah, you
You'd
Men,
never
be
know, man.
surprised.
men.
You'd be surprised. There's a whole industry. There's a whole industry. You just got to go looking for it.
You don't know the
But
right people, man.
I
You
guess
gotta write
not.
them a felt note first.
yeah, that's right. You got to make a good impression if you're looking for the rare shoe sizes. But then listen to this. So then the producers called one day. And you have to keep in mind, I said we breezed through the process, but the process was like 9 steps long. And every step, it's a call with somebody or another thing you got to clear the bar on, right? You got to do a pitch, you got to test your pitch, you got to all these different things. Every step of the way, I kept my expectations like floor. I was like, they're gonna quit us at this step. I'm sure we're never gonna get past this next step. Like it's gonna be over. This is because you got to remember, we were out, we were done. We were
Yeah.
like, hey man, this was fun. I'm gonna go get a job.
And
Credit
the
card
number
bills
of
are getting too
applicants
high.
too, the number of people wanting to do this is like supply and demand we were talking about earlier. I mean, it's got to be through the roof, like not in your favor at all.
Yeah, I mean, at that age, Facebook was like coming up so hot. Like handwritten cards were not like the thing the news
Yeah.
was talking about.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so real quick, I'll tell you this story. So the producer calls us. He's like, "Hey man, I'm really sorry, but the whole Caitlyn Jenner thing, our executive producers don't want you coming out on camera cross dressing. We just can't have anything to do with it because Caitlyn Jenner was, a thing then." And I was like, "Hey man, no problem. I was expecting this call. It's cool. Thanks so much for, all the time you've given us so far. Like it's been a blast. We've had a lot of fun things." He's like, "Well, no. We still want you to come on the show. Just do you mind coming in normal clothes?" I was like, wait a second. You're telling me that this whole concoction that I've been floating on, right? I can't get on the show. I got to come up with something funny. I'm going to cross dress. I'm going to get in the bride's outfit. You're telling me this whole thing got me on the show, but I don't actually have to do it on the show. I can just come out in a normal pitch. And they're like, yeah. I was like, normal, like me in clothes and jeans, and I'm just a dude pitch and felt. They're like, that's it. I was like, you're freaking kidding me. I could not. I mean, it was fairy tale. I couldn't believe
so
it.
it sounds to me as though that pitch made them understand that you're willing to do what it takes and you're not camera shy, right? If you can come out in a wedding dress, you're not camera shy, you'll perform well on camera.
Yeah.
That's probably the gauge. And then, like you said, they didn't want you making fun of transgender, which I would find funny, but some of the audience probably wouldn't be offended. So it makes sense the way that they determined to have you on the show, but
Yeah, it's a political
not.
show. How did it
Yeah.
actually work though? So you said Mr. Wonderful invested. So if you're allowed to talk about that, like is he still a owner, part owner, or
A lot of the deals that they do on air don't actually get done after the show, after the like there's a time period, right? You do a deal on air or not based on a lot of different factors, and then you both have time to kind of get to know each other, right? And sometimes there's things they don't know about the company, sometimes there's things you don't know about them that can cause a deal to not actually go through.
Mhm.
But here's what I want to say. Why I wanted to tell the audience and what I want the audience to hear is if you're going to try to get on Shark Tank, remember you're making one of two things, humor or drama, right? And to Chris's point, yeah, I had to show them that I was a good product, right?
Mhm.
And the product is either humor or drama. And then they felt confidence to spend their production time,
Yep.
bringing me on and shooting with me.
Yep.
And even then, you're actually not guaranteed to air, right? Because they overshoot, right? They have like a few episodes they don't actually need, or a few pitches they don't actually need that season. So you have to actually reach a certain bar.
You still have to
And
keep doing it. Like even if you get on, you're like, okay, I still gotta like go entertain or give them drama or one of those two things.
you got to know who the client is.
Hmm.
And the client in this case isn't the producers. The client is the audience. What are they buying? Drama or humor? And if you can make a good dramatic or funny product, the producers will buy it from you, bring you on the show, right? And then because they can then sell it to the audience, right? So in that notion, so you show the producers you can either be really funny because you have a funny story, you have a great personality, or you can have a dramatic story with a great personality. right? That's what they're looking for. They're not only looking for a great product,
Can you
Well,
make them
of course
cry or
not.
make them
right? So
laugh?
just because you have a good product, got to make
Last
them cry,
thing,
got to make them laugh, and have a good product.
last
Yep.
thing Mr. Wonderful or Cuban or any of these guys need is more deal flow. Like they're not actually there for that. But can you, when we're about to get into a game that Chris is going to introduce, but can you give any details on Mr. Wonderful? Like, did he not want to invest, or did you see something in him? Like, I imagine there's like a due diligence process on both sides and gives you legal out. Can you shed any details on that, or what actually became of that?
Not much. I mean, I can just say no. I can just we both had the best intentions. I think some companies might be going on Shark Tank without the intention of doing a deal.
Mm,
We had every intention of doing a deal. I think he shook my hand on air, having every intention to bring us into the portfolio.
mhm.
So I really loved working with them for the time that we did work with them. Doing during due diligence. But that's it. I mean, there's nothing really that needs to be said because that's kind of what the general gist is.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's important for people to know because people just assume, oh, you're guaranteed like money and Mr. Wonderful, you could text them whenever you want, and it's probably not like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's that's probably a safe assumption to make. Yeah, these are real people with a ton of time pressure and commitments, and the show, to Chris's point, the show brings a ton of deal flow, so they
Yeah,
have a lot of work on their plates. I mean, they have to get to know you, they have to get to know the business, they have to get to know the other 10 or 15
yeah.
entrepreneurs and businesses that they want to consider.
And I would
So
say like once in a while they'll find a deal on that show that's like really good for them that they actually get excited about in their day-to-day stuff. But for the most part, it's like for entertainment. Are there any like Shark Tank super success stories? Like, wasn't the Ring camera like a initially a Shark Tank thing? I know there's like some big time like success stories from that, but it's just small mom and pops, and they get a little bigger, and they get some users like you guys, and then they go on and do their own thing. I think that's like the norm for the ones that are successful off of that show.
Yeah, it's a promotion. It's promotion
Hmm.
for the business owners.
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, I would agree with all that. That
That's
seems
cool.
It was a great promotion. Yeah. I mean, that's that
That's
that's
dope.
why I sat there on my couch. Like, we have to get on the show because we have to
Uh,
reach millions of people. Because yeah, we have to do millions of cards to hit our numbers, right? We
you're a
can't.
hustler, man.
I
Chris,
guess so. Yeah. I see myself as someone who's following, this kernel of love, right? I've always loved handwritten cards, and it came across my purview, and nobody else was doing it yet, and
I think
so
that's a good way to describe Chris, just a giant kernel of love. Uh,
just
Chris,
got
you
to
want to
pop
explain
that
the
handwritten.
game?
Dan's
Eh,
being sarcastic as can
Listen,
be.
everybody, feltapp.com. I'm actually gonna download it and send my mom a letter, and see what happens. Like
Y-
the
Mother's
three
Day
a
is
month.
coming up 2 months.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that. The three
Oh,
a month, it's
Yep.
not the
Try us before
$5.
Mother's Day.
I like that the credits can roll over because if
accumulate.
you end up doing five and then 5 a month and you're like, yeah, this month I didn't write any, you don't feel forced to write a letter. And then you let
Yep.
them accumulate. And maybe you had an event, like a small get together, and you could write everyone who came, like, hey, thank you for coming. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Um,
And you know what else happens is sometimes you might have a life event come at you, right? And all of a sudden, your gratitude meter goes through the roof.
mhm,
And what you're grateful for are all the people that showed up, who
yeah.
had your back, who supported you, and you're ready to bend over and kneel over that iPad or piece of paper and start handwriting some letters, right? Because it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be anything contorted or contrived. It needs to be authentic. It needs to come from an innate place.
Yeah.
And we just what we're saying is kind of like Headspace. Remember Headspace when Headspace came out? They're like, hey,
Yeah.
ever heard of meditation? You should
Hmm.
probably allocate a little bit of time for meditation.
They
And what I'm saying is, hey,
basically,
remember thoughtfulness? Allocate a little bit of time for thoughtfulness. It's
it's a
good
good
for you. It's good
comparison.
for.
It's a good comparison.
It's
I
a
think this is
practice.
really good.
It's a
It's
practice.
it's a really good idea and clearly a good business
I,
and a
I
lot of
agree.
value,
I
a
agree.
lot of value in it. Chris, you want to explain the game?
Before we get into that, I do have a out of left field question for you.
Ah,
Um, has nothing to do with your product, unfortunately. So, when did you move from Colorado to Texas?
2021.
Okay, so you've been there a while, 3 years. Um, so my, not that this matters a whole lot to my question, but my sister moved to Texas a year ago, Dallas area, Fort Worth area, and she hates it. So, what are your thoughts?
8. Wow.
Yeah, she's moving back to Washington. I don't think I told you that, Dan.
Wow, didn't know that.
Washington State is where she's from.
Yeah.
Tell me why she hates it so I can comment directly because I actually grew up in Dallas. So I've seen Dallas from my
Oh, okay.
childhood. And then
So you weren't born and raised in Colorado.
no, I was in Colorado for 10 years. So I had enough time away, but then now I'm back and I have, yeah, 2 kids now. So I have a much different perspective, but tell me what she doesn't like about it.
Well,
So I can,
let me give you background on why I'm asking this question because I am kind of considering moving to Texas myself, amongst other states. So I was just wondering what your impression was. But and Colorado was on the list. I don't think it is any longer. Um, so she doesn't like it because of the weather, right? The weather's a little more severe than she was expecting. Um, and they like being on the ocean, which, Texas or Colorado doesn't solve. I mean, you can be on the ocean kind of in the Gulf, but it's a distance from Fort Worth to the Gulf.
it is. Yeah. Okay. Well, here's what I'll say. You're not going to find Washington in Texas, right? So that's, and I mean, and here to elaborate on that, what I mean is you're not going to find Telluride, Colorado in Texas either.
Sure.
They're different places, but and they meet different needs. And here's what I have found about Dallas specifically, and Fort Worth. Fort Worth is really different than Dallas. Fort
Really?
Worth is
I mean, they're right
what?
next to one another, like the
They're
same
so
place.
close.
They're
I
different.
know, but
They're
they're
different.
so different. Yeah, they're so different. Dallas is maybe what Fort Worth will be in like 50 years,
It's like
right? When the
Riverside in
population.
LA. It's kind of like Riverside in
Yeah.
LA.
Yeah. And also within Dallas, man, Dallas is such a weird city in how like the different pockets look so different from one another. And I live in what's considered East Dallas, right? And East Dallas is old growth trees, right? It's like, they didn't cut the damn trees. I don't know what else to say about it. They didn't cut the trees in East Dallas. You go to West Dallas, if you go to West Dallas, they cut the trees.
It's more
They just
manicured.
It's manicured and it's like new builds. So they have like young trees and like these trees in East Dallas provide, I've always my happy place. Literally, like when I did this one meditation exercise and they're like, okay, now what's your happy place look like? And it like snaps into your vision or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It was me with a damn tree in a snowy field with a bunny. So a tree for me, it gives me stability, gives me anchoring, gives me a state of peace and calm. I think trees are there's actually an alien story where trees are the intelligent life forms on another planet. They come to Earth, spaceship, and whoever the person who kind of has the encounter says what came off the spaceship were trees, and they came here because they were fascinated by our movement because they move so slowly, they don't move very much, and they're fascinated by movement. But trees,
Yeah, straight out of Lord of the Rings. Okay.
Yeah, so trees are what I love. East Dallas has them. Most of the places in Dallas don't have trees. I don't know what else to say about it, but the other thing about Dallas, and here's my intuition about it. Dallas is like every place in the country. It's full of people like my age who were raised here. So a lot of us moved away, and a lot of us are coming back. There's kind of this like ricochet, I think, happening with a lot of people who are like me, who went and now they're back where they were raised. And they see this place from a whole different perspective. From instead of a place to get away from and escape, it's now a place to learn about and to discover and to appreciate its things that you can appreciate And, I think we're also moving into, adulthood and beyond adulthood into whatever that next maturity phase looks like, where you feel like, hey, this is kind of my responsibility. The place I live is my responsibility, right?
It's
And I needed to be accountable to
it's
be a citizen where I live.
it's home.
What'd you say? It's
It's
home.
home. It feels like home. It's home of the heart.
Chris is asking
Yeah.
because he wants to move to Texas and
No,
he's
not necess
afraid because
no,
his
not
sister didn't
necessarily.
like it.
No, not necessarily. I'm just curious
Uh,
what I thought he was from.
Transplant.
No, I thought he was from Colorado, right?
Yeah.
Not from
Yeah.
Texas. That's different. If it's home, right? Doesn't matter
Well,
if
I
it's
can tell you enough. Let me then bend this question more in the light that maybe you were looking for, because Colorado is actually home too. Like, I moved to Colorado to a place that felt like home when I found it.
oh yeah.
And I lived there for 10 years, and I made some of the best friends I've ever had there, and I go back all the time. And so I really have two homes, and Dallas is home is not actually what I would say. It's more like a really good place to have landed, and I'm discovering parts of it that I appreciate, that I didn't know existed. So where are you moving from? Let's get brass tacks. Where are you coming from? And I'll tell you if I think you'll like Dallas or not.
Southern California.
Southern
So
California. And so obviously the weather is going to be not what you're used to there.
yeah, we
First
get
of the year. Here's
we,
here's here's a little bit about the weather in Dallas. This is my take. I don't remember us having so many nice days as we do since I've been back. I just don't remember it. I mean, right now, today outside, it's gorgeous. It's, I don't know, 68, 70 degrees, sunny, chill, beautiful. And
yeah.
I swear, this is kind of a lot of the time. And in the summer, yeah, it's hot. So I live in East Dallas. There's a lot of shade. I also am a cyclist, so I can be outside doing sport and have, wind blowing on me. But it's hot in the summer. Winters are tempered. We had, like, I don't know, 10 days that were what I would say
Cold.
were cold. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beyond that, dude, it's pretty great. But, outdoor activity wise, you're in a city.
Hmm.
So you gotta pick up a sport if you're into that. That is city friendly. So I'm a cyclist, and now I'm into soccer. My kids are into soccer. You know, I've got a 5 and an 8-year-old, so I'm coaching their sporting leagues and sporting teams,
Nice.
and they're here's what I'll say about Dallas. The people are great,
Yeah, my sister
right?
said the same thing.
Yeah. And so if you're coming to Dallas with, your ability to, like, get in, right? To find social hobbies, to be in, like, Dallas, and be in Dallas, and not just move here because, like, I don't know, like, looking for something. But if you move here and you get in, you're gonna like what you find. That's what I think.
All right. I
Thought it was a
appreciate the
great
insight.
city. I thought it was great. I just came back I went in November. It was pretty
Yeah,
cool.
I've been to Dallas probably a dozen times.
Dude,
Yeah,
the
I
other thing
spent
about
like
Dallas,
4 days
it's
there.
you know what else it's doing? It's growing. Like,
Like
like,
None
crazy.
other. Yeah.
and
Well,
it's
Chris and
kind
I
of
have an
nice.
investment in Plano. We got an investment in property in Plano, and it's been doing really good. We bought it in 21 also, I think.
Yep.
It's a cool place.
It's nice to be in a city that's growing. It feels like, I don't know, if you lose one job, okay. Like, I'm not in a place
It's
that's
alive.
depressed.
If you're not growing,
There's
you're
a lot.
dying.
So you
Chris,
can, there's some of that.
we got to get into this game, man. Like
Dan's in a hurry. All right. So,
we gotta do the game.
I've got 3 minutes too. I've got 3 minutes where I have to
oh,
leave.
well, we don't have time for the game, Dan. So, well, we won't play
We
the
got 3
video.
minutes.
No,
No, we got 3 minutes.
okay. Well,
Gotta do it
whatever.
Let's
fast.
do it.
Tell me,
Let's do it.
It's
do you like
cool.
the song Thunder by them?
Yeah, that one's catchier.
Yeah, this one's catchy though.
I
I
mean,
like
it's
it.
catchy.
I like it. I'll be downloading it.
It's just not not exactly like my genre, but it's cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very popish.
Yeah, a little too much, but it's all good.
Sure.
Tomer was interesting, man. Uh, are
No,
you gonna
without a
write
doubt.
more letters?
I'm debating. I mean,
450
honest.
is not bad,
No, it
honestly.
isn't. It isn't, and especially since it rolls over. I mean, you maybe, like he said, you find it. Maybe you don't really use it on the regular, but you find an occasion in which you want to send a bunch of.
I mean, after SOS, like we could, it's $5 for let's 400 people. A lot of them were us, so it's like under 2 grand. We can send this to everyone that attended. We
Yeah,
just don't know everyone.
but it
I
wouldn't
don't
be
think everyone knows
Yeah, it
everyone.
wouldn't be personalized. So really, what you would use it for is the sponsors,
Yeah, the
right?
sponsors and
Thank you for coming. Hope to see you next year. Is there anything you can let us know that we didn't do, or something along those lines that would benefit you more at the next conference? Like we genuinely care,
yeah,
something like
yeah,
that. We are appreciative, and we want to improve each year for you specifically. What can we do to improve
yeah.
your sponsorship?
Um, but Tomer, everyone, look, go get it, the app. Um, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna try it out. It seems like a really good idea, and he seems like a pretty cool guy. And we even
Yeah.
got into some conversation about Dallas at the end, which is pretty cool.
So it's funny because at the beginning, when we were first starting out, and I tried to withhold any kind of judgment, like first impressions, but I couldn't help this one. He seemed kind of odd initially, but he's not odd, at all.
Well, there you
But
go,
but
Tomer.
initially, first impressions can certainly be wrong.
Chris doesn't think you're odd anymore, Tomer. So
No, I don't mean that in any way negative. It's not. I'm just saying first impression. Just
I got
this
you.
is going to be an interesting interview. This guy seems a little odd, but then it was just he was having technical difficulties and such, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Hey, the conversation got really good. It got
yeah, very good
deep
guy.
at times. It made me rethink a couple things. So yeah, very interesting. I mean, everybody go check it out. I'm gonna get it. Probably write my mom a letter, and then we'll see after that who else gets a letter. Maybe
And
one of y'all.
I can certainly y'all, Texas. So I can certainly see why they had him on Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Seems like an interesting dude, and personable and can talk well, similar to you, Dan.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yeah,
I'm gonna write you a letter for that one. So thank you.
yeah. I don't need a letter. You can just send an email or a text.
Yeah, everybody like, subscribe, comment, share. Don't text me. It's on Do Not Disturb. Bye bye.